So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where America and Europe are connected. This is a really weird scenario, but it should make for a very interesting series of events pertaining wars and, disputes over the new land. So we'll see what happens with it, but if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All of that support is greatly appreciated. My setup is going through some things right now. One of my lights broke. I have it on my PC looking down at me. It's not very efficient. And then also I'm missing my pop filter for my microphone. I don't know where it is. It's just vanished. It's not in my room anymore. So that's annoying. So you might be hearing a few more sounds than you usually hear. I can't do anything about it because, it disappeared. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump straight into this video. So for America and Europe to be connected, a large portion of the Atlantic Ocean needs to disappear. So let's start drawing in our new land. I think I know exactly how I want to do this. So let's start by going up to Greenland. We're going to kind of follow the coastal pattern of Canada over here and just kind of go weird up and around up to this. Okay, that looks normal. And then I don't really want to have Iceland and Greenland connected like that, so instead, we're gonna start from up here and make our way down. And we're gonna kind of start cutting inward a little bit and then immediately kind of just jump out like this. Gonna rough it up a little bit in this area, make it look semi-natural. I mean, I'm not very good at drawing natural looking borders, as you can tell by my videos. So I'm gonna do my best, which isn't that good. There we go. They're all connected now. And we're gonna go ahead and also just connect up Britain and Ireland. We're gonna connect England and France together. And here's where it gets interesting because we can do a lot of things from here. I don't think I want to have one ginormous supercontinent like this because that would just be too much. Instead, we're gonna have kind of a series of islands that all kind of connect together. I mean, we can also erase this line and make individual islands, but we'll just kind of freestyle it. Let's start by coming off from Portugal and kind of dipping down towards Africa. Maybe this is like a gulf slash bay. I don't really know what the difference is. I mean, this is considered a bay, which is a lot more open, so maybe this is a gulf. I don't know. But let's now make our way up with this line and kind of go around these islands. I want to kind of incorporate them into this new landmass that we're creating. So now we go up and let's just get freaky with it. Yep, that looks great. Now we start doing this jagged design again up toward the top, and then now we have ourselves a big old land area. And I did say I would be willing to erase these lines so we can make this into a giant peninsula off of Europe, so there we go. But I don't want to make them too far apart because they do still have to be connected in essence. So let's actually do this instead. Let's go ahead and connect it up with a little tip area down over here. And that way, we can still say that this area is connected. So we'll do something like this. And now we can get over towards the American part of the Atlantic. We're gonna have a big old sea right in the middle of this big old land thing. This is looking pretty good so far, actually. And we'll start to bring this down towards the coast of Florida, but not before we finish up and round this thing off by connecting it up to Newfoundland. So there we go. There's our second big old piece of land. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our third and final landmass, but we also still have to make sure that it connects up with this one right here, because then it wouldn't match the title and I would be lying to you. I would never lie to you guys. Alright, so going from the tip of Florida and up into the Bermuda island chain, we're going to be kind of shaping the bottom of the continent with it, but only for a little bit. And from here, we can go ahead and go out into the Atlantic and start to freestyle. We'll just kind of go up and around. Now, I don't want anyone to compare this to the sea depth chart of the world. Do not pull up a map of the depth of the Atlantic and start talking to me about land masses. No, just don't. But anyway, we're going to start connecting them up and over here. And I actually kind of like the idea of having a big sea/lake right in the middle of this thing. So we'll go ahead and round it up over here in New Brunswick. We can then go ahead and erase this line here. And now we can finally go ahead and fill in our landmass. Beautiful. All right, so now Europe and America are connected. It is very confusing going through this. You have to go through here, then up through this little gate up here, and then, there's probably going to be a few bridges built, maybe one through there. That might be too long though. But definitely one over here so you can bypass going up and around. There's definitely going to be some ferries going back and forth. So it's not horrible, but it definitely isn't ideal. If you want to drive from New York to London, it is now possible. It just might take you a few hours or a few days. Definitely a few days. So what would the country's reaction be to this new landmass popping up and connecting America and Europe? Now, there are some things to note, like the economy of the United States and Western Europe would suffer from this. All of these states along the coast in some way rely on the ocean for their economies. So without that, they're going to be hurting a little bit. So the first country to make a move here was obviously going to be the United States. It's America. They're not going to pass up on an opportunity to expand, right? That, and they definitely need to for their economy. So they will go ahead and make a claim on a large portion of the area over here and kind of go up into Canada's area. So the border with Canada will expand, and we'll also get some new lakes here, like Lake New York, I guess, and then the Lake Chesapeake, and then whatever this is. Anyway, Canada will also get in on this new land, and they are going to expand their border as well. They will go down over here towards the tip of this lake slash sea, most likely a sea, and this will all be annexed by Canada. So if we zoom out on the world map, this is looking very funky, but this is what you could probably expect. And honestly, realistically, I mean, colonization would be changed a lot if this were to happen, but it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that if Britain, well, no, you really have to think about history as a whole then, because Europe would be a lot different if this was over here. But if Britain were to like reach out to here and then Spain out to there and France through here, I mean, I don't think they would, but if they did, maybe colonization still looks something like this, and eventually the US and Canada looks something like this. But then again, this landmass would just completely change history, so I doubt it. Anyway, now we can go over toward the Europeans, but first we're gonna make a stop with Greenland. They are sort of ruled by Denmark, I think. I don't really know their situation. I know they're not independent, so yes, they are ruled by Denmark, but Denmark will go ahead and give them a little bit of land over here, which probably helps them a lot. So now Greenland looks something like that. And now we go over to the Europeans. First of all, the UK will go ahead and connect up with Northern Ireland, further exerting their claim that they own it. This may or may not be true, depending on who you ask. So now the UK looks something like this, but Ireland will not stand by and just watch. They're going to get one back at the UK and start to dig into the area, which is just west of the UK. They will also expand their borders along the northern coast of the new continent, and now Ireland looks completely unrecognizable. One thing's for sure though, this is annoying to look at. Alright, so now for Portugal, they are going to kind of adapt a policy of being Chile. Here is Exhibit 1, which is Chile. Exhibit 2, New Portugal, aka Chile Part 2. So Portugal takes up a big ol' southern coast of this area, which might make Spain a little unhappy. However, sleepers, you snooze, you lose. And they're going to lose out on a lot, actually, because France is also going to go ahead and jump out and claim a large portion of land. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the UK just gets completely cut off. And once again, you snooze, you lose. I'm sure that there's a lot of people happy about this, and some people who are mad about this. You can't win them all though. So France will annex their big old claim, and Western Europe is becoming very large. Now, there is a question which can be asked, and that is, would they be able to sustainably hold on to this land? And the answer is probably no. But since there's nobody living there, yes. Once people start to move there, and you know, the government and politics start to get kind of culturalized, and then you have the chance of them splitting away, but for now, it's kind of unlikely. But we might look at a future scenario with this, I'm not too sure yet. But now Canada will go ahead and continue to expand its border, this time on the middle continent, as it is the first country to do so. I know I called it a continent, but it's more of an island. Well, it's not an island because it's connected through, so I mean, what is this? An archipelago? Like a ginormous archipelago, I think? A connected archipelago? Is it just a giant island? I mean, like, no, it's not a giant island because this connects into Asia as well. So, I mean, wait, all the continents are connected now other than Oceania. So you have, you know, Afro-Eurasia, right? So now you have Amera-Afro-Eurasia. That's horrible. Who came up with this video idea? What a madman. With Canada annexing their claim up north to the United States, we'll go ahead and sit down at a table with them and discuss how they are going to address this center continent. Of course, Canada has the right to just go ahead and take this area for themselves and connect up their claims. But since it's America, and since they like to, you know, exert themselves into other people's business, they are going to force Canada to negotiate this with them. And, you know, Canada's a good ally of the United States, so I'm sure they don't have that big of an issue with it. But what they will figure out is that they have overlapping claims. Canada wants to just simply split this area like this, whereas the United States wants full control of it, but will allow Canada to pass through it without any restrictions. So yeah, that's just kind of how America rolls. And you know, when deciding who's right, you know, who has a seat on the UN Security Council and who doesn't, I think America does. Canada doesn't. So what the world will do is that the world will recognize what the United States claims, which is something that looks like this. This is what the world is recognizing and agrees to. However, Canada lays claim to a little bit of the area in the center. Now, is it enough to start a conflict over? No, because Canada knows their place. Just kidding, but Canada would most certainly get smacked around in a war against the United States, so I don't think they're going to try anything. They just lay claim to this area right here. Anyway, these country borders are becoming hideous. They're not at war, but I'm just going to go ahead and color them in so you can see what exactly their countries are looking like at this point. And yeah, I mean, the US doesn't look horrible. Canada definitely looks like they have an issue. Like you might want to go to the doctor about whatever is happening over here. But yeah, that's just how it is for now. And then the Europeans, I mean, it just looks like giant blobs. There's nothing much we can do about it. I mean, I could draw the borders better, but I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to. Anyway, we have a surprise guest making an appearance, and that surprise guest is none other than Morocco. Morocco will go ahead and claim an area over here, which looks oddly like the Arabian Peninsula. You know, you have the UAE right here, and like Qatar right there. Spain sees this and gets triggered because Spain is, I guess, a crybaby in this situation. I don't know. I'm throwing shade at a lot of countries today. I don't mean it. Spain will then go ahead and set up a colony on this part of the continent and also take a little bit of land from the center area, which has been unclaimed thus far. All right, so we're looking like this now. So these countries are going to come to an agreement, and not just them, but the whole world will come to an agreement to make this a UN controlled area. Now, modernly, if this were to happen, then I think that would probably come into effect. I think actually what I'm doing right now would be kind of similar to how the world would react to a new landmass appearing in real life. Obviously, it's unrealistic because things can't just appear out of nowhere like that. But if it were to happen, these countries would likely take a little bit of land, and the rest would be dedicated over to the UN, who would just control it, and, you know, maybe they'd station their headquarters there. It's in neutral territory, so that helps out a lot with certain countries. The NATO headquarters might get moved as well, probably over into France, but that's not important in this video. Instead, we have America doing America things and taking over this area over here, this one that connects up these two continent/island things. This isn't a direct violation of what the UN just did because the UN's border is exactly this. So they took all the land above it and just kind of, you know, cut off from there. So while not being a direct violation of what the UN did, it is still looked down on. And Greenland will go ahead and kind of cut America off from doing any other shenanigans up here by taking this land right here. We then have Canada expanding their border claim along the coast up here, up into the border of Greenland. Looks pretty good. The US will do something similar, except on the southern part of this island, now linking up over to the Moroccan colony. And now the coastal areas, apart from this area in here, have all been claimed. The UN will once again try to enact something, you know, saying that this should be controlled by the UN. Most of the countries here will agree, except for a couple. The first being, as you guessed, the United States, who will make one more claim before they agree to the UN's deal. The other one will be Morocco, who takes a lot of this inner area. And then Spain will go ahead and slither along this inner eastern coast. Now, all the countries are officially okay with the UN taking control of this, and that's what they do. So we have two UN countries over here. And in the future, it's likely that Greenland and the United States will be forced to give up these two claims. But for now, it is not an issue. So that's how this would, I mean, unlikely be divided up. But then again, there's really no realistic way to do it because this is an unrealistic scenario. So let's take a look at the future of this area/continent thing. I mean, I don't know if there really is much of one, but we can try to make something up. So the two UN countries obviously are going to remain, but this Moroccan colony goes ahead and breaks away along with the Spanish one. These become two independent countries. Portugal will experience some sort of revolution/civil war, which breaks away the western part of the country into its own thing. Now we're going to be making a lot of assumptions here. One, that the UN doesn't stop this, and two, that NATO doesn't stop it, and three, that Portugal is unable to stop it. So yes, there will be a lot of assumptions made in considering the future of this thing. Mostly because the future of this thing would either be UN or there would be no future. It would just be how it is right now. But anyway, we can see that the English are going to make up a big old lie about owning what was once the British Channel. Now this is not anywhere close to what it actually looks like. The English Channel does not look like that, but it is a rough estimation. So the UK will take claim of that. France will obviously dispute it and saying, no, that's not actually how that works. And yeah, I mean, they're not going to go to war because they're allies, but it's there now. We have Ireland making a claim on Northern Ireland. The UK will not address this because they're hypocrites. I'm sorry, British people. This really isn't your video, is it? Like I said earlier, the US and Greenland would likely be forced to give this area up. They do. But the US might be digging a big old canal right through here, and they might also have a few military bases there. We haven't even talked about how this would affect trade, you know? Like, going back and forth between Europe, America, and Africa, and, you know, South America, all that is easy modernly because, you know, there's not a big old continent here, but in this case there is. So if you want to trade with Europe, you either go through this mess or you go up through here and up into the Mediterranean. It's not horrible, but it's a lot longer. If you want to trade with Northern Europe directly, you would have to go up through here, through the canal the US just dug, and around into the Baltic Sea. That's a little bit of a hassle. If you want to get into like the interior of Canada, you would have to go above Greenland. I'm not sure how practical that is, but it is an option, I think. And then trade between these guys, I mean, that stays the same. But you can see how this would kind of screw up trade routes and everything. Maybe they try to build a canal there to get to the interior parts of Canada. I'm not too sure about that though. We could probably see like a mega bridge going across there, maybe one there, definitely one there. I'm not too sure about that. That might be a little bit too much. Anyway, these two countries here will probably fight, one of them will win, and one of them will cease to exist. Maybe there's a big diversity in culture and beliefs over here, which leads to the US granting this area independence, or maybe they revolt and gain independence. So another new country there. Canada, I don't know if you're holding on to all this. Let's just say that they don't. And this weird country becomes Chile Part 3. In all actuality though, if any kind of separatist movements were to take place within this continent, they would likely just get absorbed by the United Nations. So that goes for Canada and the US's claim. So we have one big old UN island over here, but as for these two, they're going to remain as they are. And yeah, I mean, this is like a really weird scenario. Also, this thing, tumor that's growing on Canada, I'm not too sure what happens with it. It probably remains because it's pretty close to, like, you know, Canada as a whole. It could also break away if it wanted to. The US would probably most certainly be able to hold on to like all of this. It's like directly connected to them, whereas with Canada it's kind of separated. Even over here it's separated. So yeah, that does it for this Wacky Wednesday video. I just made that a thing. It's not a thing, but it has a name now. So if you ever see a weird video on Wednesday, just call it a Wacky Wednesday video. Yeah, this is weird, but I do hope you enjoyed it because I did have some fun making it. And yeah, so let me know what you think. I can do this in like other areas of the world too. I could connect South America with Africa. We could connect up India. We could actually just fully connect up the Middle East and India. We could do some really weird stuff with Australia and Southeast Asia. I think we already filled in the Mediterranean. But I can also like reverse this world map and have like the US and China connected up. That would be a big island though. So we would have to take a look at that. But just let me know what you think. Yeah. So that's gonna do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I am almost done with school. When you're seeing this, I'm gonna have like a week left of school and then I'll be done. I mean, it's like it's a 2-week ordeal, but I finish going to school in about a week's time. Of course, I still have to graduate. That's later on. Yeah, I'm almost done, and then I go to college in August. So yay! But this summer, expect a lot of the same. I don't want to say a lot of the same because it's not true, but expect some additional stuff. For a little bit, I wanted to move away from mapping, but I don't know if that's too possible now. I haven't really tried too hard to do it, so maybe I'll experiment some more this summer. Probably not. I used to do, last year we were doing 3 videos a week during the summer. I don't know if I'm doing that again this year. I don't think so, but we could, like, you know, maybe post additional videos on Mondays sometimes. I also had an editor last summer that helped me out a lot. I don't have an editor anymore. He did nothing wrong. That was just my own personal preference. But yeah, and also the streaming channel exists now, so I'll be doing a lot of streams over there when I have the free time, which will be often. So yeah, just look forward to the summer. We look forward to every summer on the channel. I look forward to every summer on this channel. So yeah, just thank you guys once again for being here, watching this video, and supporting the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And of course, thank you to all the super fans. This includes Kylie Speaks Plays, German Edits, A Random Guy, Patrick Clauser, Life Lamau, JB Countryball 12, Friaza, Hammertoad 45, CTG Canada Flag, Colin Countryball, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Yakko, DW Cool Dude, and Serminator. Thank you guys.